and welcome to Newshour. I am Hawa. By coming up in this edition, Saving Life Initiative Organization begins a 5-day free surgery at the Crown Hospital. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation lays before Parliament the General Cooperation Agreement document between Sierra Leone, Ghana and Russia. Minister of Planning and Economic Development says government is working on establishing a National Investment Board. And First Lady Fatima Bio launches Women Increasing Sustainable Energy Access and Use. All these stories and more are lined up in this edition of Newshour. With me, Hawa. Bye. If you've just joined us, you're welcome. Saving Life Initiative Organization has begun a 5-day free surgery for vulnerable people at the Connaught Hospital who are suffering from hernia, orthopedic and goiter. The team comprises Sierra Leonean medical practitioners based in the United States who wants to support the country's ailing health system. Mara Masuma visited the Connaught Hospital and our reports.
6-year-old Jamila Conte has been suffering from hernia. With support from the Saving Life Initiative organization, she has been operated and now responding to treatment. Her mother is now happy to see that her daughter's surgery was successful and thanked the organization for giving her daughter a new life as she can now play with other children. Zainab Bangura has been living for a long time with goiter. Though she doesn't feel any pain, the bump is getting bigger each day. She is hopeful that after the surgery, she will regain her figure again and thanked all those who will be doing her surgery. Founder of the Saving Life Initiative organization, Abdul Malik Jallo Jamburia, explained that the organization started with 3 Sierra Leoneans who are based in the United States. They are specialized in accounting, procurement, and an anesthetist surgeon. He said they came together to ensure that they return home and give the little they have back to their country through knowledge exchanging with the local doctors and giving a new life to sick people in the country.
Hernias are so multifactorial in the sense that there are so many things that can cause hernias. Some people it's just a muscle strain, it's not picking a box using the wrong techniques. Well, there are little kids that it's just congenital. Some people are just born with hernias that never sort of sealed, and so they're born with that defect, and as they grow, for some people their entire lives it never gives them a problem, nothing hurts. But there are some people that actually as they grow it becomes a problem.
Theatre matron at the Connaught Hospital, Betsy Dean, thanked the organization for their efforts in supporting the health sector in the country. She said that they are very happy as this mission will not be a surgical mission but also a training session for doctors and nurses at the hospital, as both teams are conducting the surgery. She added that at the end of the mission, they hope to see that all those who were operated return back to their normal life.
The last time they came, they did about almost 50 cases. So we are expecting that today we are expecting to do about, because we have 8, we are expecting to do about 11 cases today, just today. We have 11, we have 8 for general surgery and then we have 3 for orthopedic cases.
Founding member and logistics head of Saving Life Initiative organization, Badara Kamara, said the organization is very young and as a non-profitable organization, there is no one to fund the organization. He furthered, as for now, only members and their family are supporting the organization. The Saving Life Initiative organization has been doing free medical service in the country for a while now, and they have also provided X-ray machines for the Connaught Hospital and other medical equipment at the police hospital at Kintown. SLBC News, Maria Masuma reporting.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs an agreement between Sierra Leone, Ghana and the agreement will enable Sierra Leone benefit from military, economic, trade and investment opportunities from Russia and Ghana. Rose Kunima Stevens was in Parliament.
Presenting the General Cooperation Agreement papers to Parliament, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Ali Kaba, said Ghana and Sierra Leone already share common interests as ECOWAS, African Union, and United Nations members. The Joint Commission, he explained, will cement the existing relationship between both countries to accelerate the integration process in West Africa and Africa as a whole. The minister noted that intra-Africa trade and investments will help to accelerate sustainable development for member states. He maintained that Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Russia stand to benefit from the joint cooperation, as all parties will learn and share experiences through a win-win cooperation.
This joint commission will go a long way to accelerate the integration process in West Africa and indeed in Africa. His Excellency signed the Continental Free Trade Agreement on the 2nd of July last year in Nouakchott, Mauritania, to emphasize our commitment to the integration of Africa. On the Russia Military Technical Agreement, this agreement will enable Sierra Leone and Russia to engage in military cooperation through the sale and purchase of military equipment, the exchange of relevant military technical intellectual property rights, the placement of military specialists in each party's country, and the training of military personnel in both countries.
The agreement between Sierra Leone and Russia will ensure mutual benefits in the military and long-term cooperation in technical fields. The benefits include training of military personnel and supply of military equipment, among others. Members of Parliament lauded the efforts of the Foreign Affairs Minister for his strides in both bilateral and multilateral relationships.
Country relationship is going to help not only in diplomatic relations, but it will improve our domestic product when we improve trade relations with countries within sub-region. That cooperation is relevant, and we have to work on it to make sure that we all benefit from what we have in common.
Russia and Sierra Leone have such a very, very close tie. So we begin to ask ourselves what actually went wrong. Why did they leave Sierra Leone? Mr. Foreign Minister, thank you very much for bringing us back again together. I believe that with the exchange of military personnel, training, and support to our military, Sierra Leone may just end up being one of the strongest countries in terms of military software and support programs.
The strengthening of cooperation between Sierra Leone and Nigeria was raised by the Speaker of Parliament, and Dr. Ali Kaba said it will be revitalized. The state of bilateral relations had been reviewed, and the current level of trade between Ghana and Sierra Leone is low and requires additional measures to improve the volume of trade between the two countries. The reason the joint cooperation agreement is important. Reporting for SLBC, Rose Konima-Stevens.
First Lady Fatima Bio has launched the Women Increasing Sustainable Energy Access and Use program, WISE. WISE is supported by the European Union and implemented by the Barefoot Power Africa in collaboration with the Barefoot Women in Sierra Leone. The launching took place at Lagunda, Aberdeen in Freetown. Daphne Kema Macaulay reports.
To be sure that the money that is coming into Sierra Leone is utilized the right way for the right purposes and for the right intention. They also should particularly focus on the impact of this project on making the lives of our women. So really, it's not about collecting the money. It's about how this project will change the lives of our women. I am officially launching this project WISE in Sierra Leone.
Madam Fatima Bio said her office has been campaigning in various international fora for women's empowerment, and the Women Increasing Sustainable Energy Access and Use aligns with the country's agenda to empower women, and it has the support of government. She advised women to work collectively and appealed for an annual report on the progress of the project within the 5 years. European Ambassador to Sierra Leone Tom Vance said the launch of the WISE program is part of the EU's global initiative for women in sustainable development because there is the need to give women a special attention and support.
The voice to recognize that women can do anything. Women can do anything. And women have to do everything that proves that they are the main source of contributing to the well-being not only of their households but of society at large.
Compliance Project Manager Barefoot Power Josephine Gachiri said the Barefoot Power is a solar energy provider and has existed for over 14 years. She said the 5 years project will provide finance for women in sustainable solar power energy and mentor women in the creation of solar energy.
A typical household size in these countries is 5 occupants per house, making it about 10 million people who have been provided with suitable, healthy, adequate means of household lighting and also means to power their mobile phones. Our delivery model has created an ecosystem of prolific partners in 7 major areas. This is solar product quality testing, community-based and grassroots mobilization, end-user finance partners including banks, fintech lenders, village savings or what we call home banking systems. Local solar technicians having trained both young men and women to provide installation services, support and maintenance.
Barefoot Power assists people in developing countries to access affordable renewable energy. This is to provide low-income earners that live in rural or suburban areas with little or no access to electric power and also empower rural women in the process. For SLBC News, Daphne Kimamakoli reporting.
The Minister of Planning and Economic Development has said that government is working on a National Investment Board to address the challenges of the local business community. Nabila Tunis was addressing the second breakfast event so far this year by the British Chamber of Commerce in Freetown after concerns by the British Chamber of Commerce in Sierra Leone over the free economic zone, the foreign exchange and tax regime, including government's ineffective monitoring. Patrick Saleh was there and our reports.
The tax system in Sierra Leone is colonial, discouraging and a drain on taxpayers' income, according to Herbert MACLEOD, a member of the British Chamber of Commerce.
We have contradictory laws that are not consistent with the goals and objectives announced by the new administration. So we have to deal with that. There are bad laws and there are good laws. Sometimes you have good laws, but they are badly interpreted. And if they are badly interpreted, it raises the cost of operations. And that inhibits or limits the extent to which the private sector can do business and make a profit.
For the Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Nabila Tunis, the private sector is the government's main partner in ensuring the National Development Plan's goals are achieved. To do so, the government is considering the creation of a National Investment Board to address the challenges of the local business community, a first for the country.
And that investment board would basically look at how can we pull together the different strands that we have within the business community. How could we provide, how could we be more responsive to the business community? Because if as a government we see the business community as a critical partner in development, then we ought to ensure that we provide the enabling environment for this private sector to thrive. So as a government and the President has instructed, and we have had several discussions on the National Investment Board.
The Medium-Term National Development Plan, otherwise known as PRS-P4, seeks to achieve a diversified, resilient green economy amongst the 8 clusters in the plan. Summoned by the British Chamber of Commerce, the Planning and Economic Development Minister explained how British-owned private investments can help the 2019 to 2023 Medium-Term Development Plan reach its potential. Idris Kamara is the president of the British Chamber of Commerce in Sierra Leone.
We all know that the plan anchors the initiatives and the various deliverables of the government in promoting inclusive economic development. And our view is, as a chamber, we have a role to play in supporting and complementing the efforts of the government.
The chamber was established in 2012 to encourage prudent, credible and proactive dialogue with the government and promote and support the business interests of its members in Sierra Leone and overseas. It is also tasked with bringing British businesses into Sierra Leone's markets, whilst encouraging Sierra Leone's investors into the United Kingdom.
And its main objective is to aid the promotion of trade between Britain and Sierra Leone, so we can see how best we can support investment into the country, moving away from aid into private sector growth.
Mr. Kamara says they believe in long-term investment opportunities in the West African state and will be working with the government to improve the business environment. This should help move the country up the ease of doing business index, as well as removing some of the more obvious barriers to investment.
You will note that from the minister, from the membership, the view is we need to sustain this dialogue. The view is we need to have more of this. And we have intimated to the wider membership that we're going to have another similar dialogue in June, and this will be expanded to include other chambers in the country and also other sector ministries that we consider critical in all of these conversations.
The board is a positive step that will contribute to reduce poverty in the country by promoting and sustaining foreign direct investment. For SLBC News in Freetown, Patrick Salia reporting.
President Julius Maada Bio, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jude Jallow, Speaker of Parliament and other government functionaries have signed the Book of Condolence of retired Major General Mohamed SHEKU TARAWALLI during the official laying-out ceremony in Parliament. Hawa Musiri has the details.
The signing of the Book of Condolence started by President Julius Maada Bio, followed by the Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jude Jallow and other government representatives, paying tributes to Major General Mohamed SHEKU TARAWALLI. National Chairman of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Prince Harding, said the late man was very committed and loyal to the Sierra Leone People's Party. Dr. Harding noted that the late man contributed immensely to the party's victory in 2018. In his tribute, Chief of Defense Staff Lieutenant General BRIMA said the late Major General Mohamed SHEKU TARAWALLI was born in 1941 in Dankawali village, now Falaba district. He did his schooling at the Bo Government Secondary School and later joined the Sierra Leone Army. As the first general in the Outslav, Major General Mohamed SHEKU TARAWALLI provided several trainings to other officers and men.
Young officer Kide Tarali commissioned in the rank of a second lieutenant and became substantive lieutenant on 13th April 1963. He was later promoted to the ranks of captain and major on the 8th October 1964 and 20th July 1967 respectively. On 18th September 1967, Major General Tarali was posted to the headquarters of the Republic of Sierra Leone Military Forces as Deputy Assistant Adjutant and Quartermaster General, DAA-QMG. He served in that capacity till he was nominated for a joint service staff course in the United Kingdom from June to December 1970. Major General Tarali was loved, respected, and admired by many officers, men and women of the SLPP for his moral courage, wisdom, decisiveness, and man management abilities.
The eldest child of the late Major General TARAWALLI, Mansi TARAWALLI, said as a military officer, her father contributed greatly to the country's development, especially the military. She said that their father was focused, selfless, empathetic, humorous, and devoted to his family.
He touched lives with kindness wherever he went without condition. Kindness, reliability, dignity, respect were the qualities that defined him. Dad was a serious and disciplined man with a touch of panache. He was a great man who was a fine and handsome father and husband. Awesome dad, a good provider, and a family man. Dad was a gentle soul and cared greatly about people, especially his Kuranko people, the SLPP, and the military. His sincerity and genuine concern for others endeared him to many. When I think of Dad, many special moments come to mind, and my heart breaks knowing there will now be no more.
The president of the Old Bow Boys Association, Oba Dr. Alpha Tijanwuri, recalled the late retired Major General Tarawalli's contribution to the school's advancement. The late retired Major General Tarawalli will be laid to rest on Wednesday in his village at Dankawali, Falaba District. May his soul rest in peace. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Our Mosira reporting.
As a member of the SLPP, the party also held a laying-out ceremony for retired General Mohamed Tarawalli at its headquarters at Wallace Johnson Street. Joseph Toye was in attendance.
This gathering was to honor retired General Mohamed Tarawalli, who, according to the party members, was a stabilizing force that addressed many issues at stake. Giving a tribute on behalf of the party, the national chairman and leader of the SLPP, Dr. Prince Aden, described the late man as one of the trustees of the party in the northern region. He noted that the late retired General Mohamed Tarawalli was a mentor to President Bio.
During our campaign, Dr. Tarawalli was not well, but he was with us, especially when we went to Benadugu and Falaba 3 days, 24 hours. We only saw a man for 3 hours. He almost collapsed, but his presence was captivating and gave assurance to his people that this is a party worth staying with.
Both family and friends described the late man as one that played a pivotal role in the party, the military, and the country as a whole. They called on other members of SLPP to emulate his character. Joseph Ture, Freetown.
Freetown Teachers College has refunded entry form payments to its students in Kainam District. The refund is in fulfillment of President Bio's promise to refund entry forms for 2018-2019 academic year. Joseph Kenny sent in this report, read by Francis Danema.
While other universities and colleges have still not refunded entry forms payments made by students who entered the 2018-2019 academic year, the Freetown Teachers College has embarked on refunding the said payments to students in their various campuses across the country. John Isagbla of Freetown Teachers College said the college has refunded the money to students in their Kono and Kailan campuses. He said the college will ensure refunds are done in their other campuses across the country since the government has given them the refunds. A beneficiary of the refund, Kemo Sherif, appreciated the college for refunding the money, noting that the refund came at a time when he was in dire need of the money.
African Americans who have found their origin from Sierra Leone have received passports from President Julius Maada Bio at State House. They did several DNA tests to know where they hailed from before coming to Sierra Leone. Since their visit to the country, they have visited Banff Island and Bow City to acquaint themselves with their relatives. Our Mosiri has more.
It's really personal, because I grew up in a family that are lighter shades than me. So I was always hearing about black, 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 and that's what we used to call ourselves, black. And then we changed and started calling ourselves African Americans, and it was nothing, it was empty. So when I found out that I'm Mende and I'm from Sierra Leone, it has given history, closure, relevance to my skin color, my family, and now my family.
There are two words that I think of, validating and closure. There are many things that I have been involved in over the past 30 years, but not able to really validate them or explain. And having this experience, even the pronunciation of words that I was coming across has been validated, that I'm using them properly and I'm pronouncing them properly. I also got closure. I lost a child at 27 years of age in 2016, and I did not have closure. And she was also symbolic of being a Mende. And I really see that now. It's become very clear to me. And I had an opportunity to spread her ashes at Bunsey Island as well as under the cotton tree in Freetown.
My name is Kenneth Cast Burgess. My Mende name is Gojo. This entire trip has been a coming full circle of those first questions when you're growing up of where are you from. I think as I got older, and even as a youngster, realizing that in the West, in the diaspora, they lied to us and attempt to make us identify as Americans, but we are not and never were Americans. We were Africans.
Very, very happy, very grateful. I'm glad I made this journey, but not just for the passport, but just to come home and touch the African soil. I can only read about it so much before I need to actually come face to face with the fact of my culture and where I'm from. And I'm just grateful to God to have broken that cycle in my own family. So many generations have lived and died and that don't have the knowledge that I now have. And so now I'm breaking that cycle in my family. And any information, everything that I've learned, my whole entire experience, I'm definitely going to take that home and share with all my friends and family, because I'm proud. I'm proud to be Sierra Leonean.
There are tears of joy for these African Americans finally found their origin. They told the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation that they have been described as African Americans, but they didn't know which part of the world they come from. Updating President Julius Maada Bio about the African Americans, Deputy Minister of Tourism William Robinson told the president that they have been fighting very hard to know where they come from. Mr. Robinson stated that they have already visited Bond and Bo district and they have been given traditional names. They are studying some cultural aspect and learning how at least to greet in the Mende language.
Today we are in the midst of His Excellency, who is in readiness to receive our Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters who have been lately fighting very hard to know where they are coming from, which they have done that for over 15 years ago, and they find out that they are coming from Sierra Leone and Boka children particularly. They have been welcomed to the airport with our national dance group, and several activities have taken place over time within this short period.
The team leader of the African Americans, Chevron Fraser, stated that it is 400 years now, 1619 to 2019, since the time of the slave trade, and they were so emotional during their visit to sites which dealt with the slave trade. They have now known their roots, so they will no longer be described as African Americans with no nationality, as they have known that they are now Sierra Leoneans from different districts. She thanked the government and the people of Sierra Leone for accepting them. President Julius Maada Bio commended them for the great strides taken by them in their eagerness to reunite and reconnect with their brothers and sisters. He called on them not to be emotional or cry over spilled milk, as his government is determined to work with them and that they should come back home with their different expertise. The president noted that they will be provided with land during their next visit to build houses and settle down finally.
So for me, we are making a conscious effort at home here. This is a new administration. We are determined, and we want you to come back with the expertise, with the experience, with the knowledge and everything that you have, so that we can bring that to bear on our situation back home here. You should not hesitate at all. We are going to make you feel welcome. We are going to make you feel that compensate for what history has taken away from us all. We will work out the modalities to make sure that when the next time you are here, we allocate land to you too. So you don't have, you have no reason. You build your own houses, so you can as well just sell the, refinance the home wherever you are, and stop those mortgages and come back and build your home, and then be a part of what you are really supposed to be.
The travel director of the Ministry of Tourism, Ali Akabo, disclosed that it all started last year when he attended the ICT forum in Berlin, Germany, as he alone represented Sierra Leone, and it was at that time that he was introduced to some African Americans who were interested in knowing their origins. Mr. Kabo said that immediately when he came back, he updated the Minister of Tourism, and they started communicating with them until they finally arrived in the country. SLPP TV News are in Freetown. How Musiri reporting.
Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow has said that government will soon establish an industrial zone between Waterloo and 4 Mile. The Vice President was speaking at the launch of the Waterloo Bicentenary celebrations at the King Yard, Waterloo. Thomas Neal now reports.
Launching the bicentenary celebrations, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow informed the people of Waterloo that the industrialized zone will host factories and industries that will provide employment for the youths of Waterloo and its environs. He disclosed that technical and vocational institutes will also be constructed to support and empower the youth. Vice President further stated that government will construct a museum which will capture the rich history of Waterloo and will provide the children the opportunity to know about Waterloo. Lampard, the Vice President, went on, will benefit from electricity by December this year, adding that construction of a substation in Waterloo will make the dream a reality. The chairman, Western Area Rural District Council, Kasho Olankole, said despite the political differences in Waterloo, they still live in peace and harmony. He said the council is pleased to celebrate with the people of Waterloo and will continue to support them. Mr. Olankole cited youth empowerment as one of the challenges facing the council and called on government to help address it. One of the sons of Waterloo, Christo Johnson, said the celebration was meant to educate the present generation about the rich culture and tradition of the community. In another engagement, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow was a guest of honor at a fundraising program organized by the United Communities of Basharia Mission in Potloko. Making a presentation of 50 million yuans, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow said the Jamaat must ensure that they preach unity and love amongst the people of the district, adding that the district lacks social justice. The National President Jamal Tubiri Alhaji Hassan Kamara said the Basharia mission is non-political and thanked the Vice President for his donation. Also, as part of an activity to mark this year's Independence Day, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow joined sons and daughters of the district to celebrate the day. Stakeholders and school children marched through the streets of Potloko. Addressing the people of Potloko, Vice President Dr. Mohamed Jallow said the meeting was to join hands and discuss issues relating to the district and call on the youth to rise to the challenges facing the district. For News Hour in Freetown, Thomas Neal reporting.
The former Director General of the then Sierra Leone Broadcasting Service, Jipu Fitzgeorge, has passed away in Manchester, England. The late former Director General, who served from 1987 to 1992 and 1996 to 1997, was known to be one of the renowned broadcasters of his time. Joseph Toure spoke to some staff who worked with him.
for me. When I heard about his death this afternoon, I felt so sad, because when I came to the SLBS then, 33 years ago, he was the director of programs, and he was instructed by the then Director General, Mr. Mohamed Jawad Tunis, to audition me for radio, because he said that I have a nice voice for broadcasting, and so he was instructed by him to audition me. So he was my first teacher. Jipu was a broadcaster, a real broadcaster, a true broadcaster. He was a commentator, commentating football activities, and whenever there are public functions on public state functions at State House or anywhere, he does the commentary, you know, and he had a very, very good voice.
He's an icon, a legend journalist broadcaster that one want to imitate, you know. So I admired him so much. That is, in fact, one of the basis that brought me into broadcasting.
Whenever GFG handles the mic, you know he's on the airwaves. He's all over the place. People who are very, very active in listening to him. People who want to hear him. And when he speaks, you will not want him to speak for a very short time. Because he was that kind of person. He was all over the place. When he comes to work in the morning, he monitors both the radio, and in fact, he was, at times, you would feel your trained people. As you talk to him, he knows you will be a very better person on the airwaves.
Well, I came to love Jipu even before meeting him personally. When I was in school in the provinces, I used to listen to his presentations. Yes, running of commentaries of football matches, presentation of musical programs, DJs, and up till now I can remember some of his cliches. Give it to me, I give it to you, when he was on radio. Oh, he was very good at it. And then later on in life, I came to Freetown and eventually came to work at the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Service. There I met the same person, Jipu Felix George, as director of this.
Those were former staff of the SLBS paying tribute to former Director General of the SLBS, Jipu Felix George, who passed on Monday in England. Melon Street community at Wellington has begun constructing a road as part of their community development. The work is financed through community fundraising. According to them, the road has been approved by government since 2016, but nothing has been done to the road. Auna Patrick Kamara reports.
This road, if not paved before the rains, will cause danger to community people and will cut it off from the rest of the community. The coordinator, MELON Community Development Group, Momo Dumbuya, said as a community they believe that development must not be left with government alone. He said the street was part of the 40-kilometer roads that were surveyed and approved by government since 2016, but theirs is yet to be constructed. He called on well-wishers to support them with building materials or funds before the start of the rains. The Councillor, Ward 406, Constituency 115, Councillor Lucky Mansari, and the Secretary, Constituency Development Committee for Constituency 115, Ansu Kuma, commended the youths and stakeholders for coming together to develop their community. They said the bad condition of the road has been causing damage to many people and called on government to consider their community as the road has been surveyed and approved for construction. Councillor Lucky Mansare commended his people for keeping their community clean, which is one of the reasons why they won the Freetown City Council Cleanest Zone competition. They commended the Member of Parliament for providing the tools for the work and thanked the former Member of Parliament for constructing the drainage through NACSA support. The chairman, Melon Street Bike Riders Association, Fude Air James, and the secretary, Melon Youth Community Development, Alpha CC, and other community stakeholders pledged their commitment to ensure the construction of the road is completed as planned. They said the project is not a political one, but a community development, and called for more support to complete the road. Auna Patrikama, Newshour.
And now for other news around the African continent. A Nigerian student who was arrested last year for alleged drug trafficking in Saudi Arabia has been freed, the Nigerian government says. Zainab Aliyu was accused of smuggling 2,000 packs of a strong painkiller. The Nigerian authorities later found that the drugs had been planted in her luggage by a criminal gang. Drug trafficking is a capital offense in Saudi Arabia, which practices conservative Islam. Those found guilty are executed. This was the fate earlier this month of a Nigerian woman who was beheaded in the city of Makkah, along with 2 Pakistani men and a Yemeni man. Mozambique requires urgent life-saving relief to deal with the destructive aftermath of Cyclone Kenneth, an aid organization has said. Save the Children says the humanitarian situation is significant and life-threatening and more funds are needed. The UN gave Mozambique and Comoros Island $13 million for food, water and repair of infrastructure. The death toll in cyclone-hit northern Mozambique is 38, but is expected to rise. Meanwhile, aid workers are scrambling to reach the areas that were worst hit by the cyclone. And the third round of talks between Sudan's ruling military council and the pro-democracy opposition has ended without a deal. Despite initial indications that an agreement was within reach, differences over the composition of a new ruling body, the Sovereign State Council, and the threat by the military to clear protesters camped outside the army headquarters in the capital, Khartoum, led to a deadlock in the talks. The alliance representing protesters, Forces of Freedom and Change, wants 8 seats for civilians and 7 for the army on the proposed Sovereign State Council, while the army generals want 7 seats, leaving only 3 for civilians. These numbers have been the sticking point. Well, that's it for news around Africa. From that, we join Esther Samura for sports.
It's a hearty welcome to this edition of Sports Update. Sierra sprinter Maggie Barry has won the 400 meters women race at the International Athletics World Challenge Track and Field Athletics Meet in Brazil. In 2017, she first represented Sierra Leone at the International Association of Athletics Federation World Championship, where she competed in the 400-meter dash in London, England. And in 2018, Maggie competed in the JWT Folks Women's 400 meter at the Mountain Games in Iceland. And now she has won the 400 meter women's race in Brazil. We now bring you highlights of our interview in Brazil.
Essa prova dos 400 metros feminino e foi dada a partida. Agora vamos acompanhar as emoções da prova dos 400. Vem forte na liderança para vencer a prova dos 400. Atleta de Serra Leoa, Maggie Barry, com o tempo extraoficial de 52 segundos.
Happy about the time. My goal was to get out fast for this race, and so I wasn't really concerned with the rest. Just make sure I had a good start. So that was my focus today, and so I'm happy with it. Gosh, it's amazing. Yes, my first time. It was so cool. Like, I love the scenery, the people, the culture. It's amazing.
Maggie Barry competing in that championship, and she came first, beating other continents like other countries like Jamaica and Brazil as well. And in cycling, The Sierra Leone Tennis Association has ended its first edition of the President and First Lady's Hands Off Our Girls Trophy, known as the President's Cup. This is part of the country's 58th independence anniversary celebration. The finals were staged at the Hill Station's tennis court in Freetown. Here is a report. Tennis is one of the sporting activities that provides recreation for families and friends. At the tennis court Hill Station, these athletes, friends and families were excited to participate in an activity that serves as a platform for the revival of tennis in the country. This competition targets both junior and senior players, as well as tennis clubs from corporate institutions that took part in the competition. These players displayed their skills to achieve championship. Sierra Leone Commercial Bank won the inter-organization singles, winning 9 as against 1 in the best-of-9 match against Guaranty Trust Bank. In the ladies' single, Sierra Leone female seed 1 Balu Kago was up against Jane Cole-Nicole, and Balu won 9 as against 2 in the best-of-9 as well. It was a fierce competition for the championship slot in the men's single. Basi Kago defeated John Mara 6-3, 6-2, and therefore becomes Sierra Leone men's seed number 1. President of the Sierra Leone Tennis Association, Kelvin Ezekiel Kelly, said this event is going to be an annual event and as well as popularize tennis in the country.
Well, it's called the President's Trophy. You see, we are tying this to the celebration of our Independence Day. This is going to be an annual event. We thought about the Independence anniversary. Everybody else is doing something. And the tennis family, we want to be part of it. We've called it the President's Trophy. There's no name on it. It means it's for the present president and future presidents with the drive to raise tennis, the drive to revive tennis in the country. So we use this as a sort of a launch pad to tell the world, to tell Mama Salon that tennis is back and it's back with a bang.
At the end of the competition, medals, trophies and money were presented to winners and runners-up in the various categories of matches that were played, with the Jan Trophy and 3 million loans given to Basi Kagbo. Esther Maïsamwa, SABC. And on Wednesday, Mighty Blackpool will be up against Antidox Football Club in the second leg of the Sierra Leone Premier League. That's all for this edition of Sports Updates. Over to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Esther. From sports to entertainment, the movie Dynamic Range will be premiered in May. The movie was shot in Maryland, USA by a Cameroonian, Dexter Brains, and has over 70% Sierra Leonean cast. From Maryland, USA, our entertainment producer, Mohamed King Milan Bangura, engaged the writer, director, and producer of the movie, Dexter Brains, on his love for Sierra Leone and the premiering of the movie Dynamic Range.
Welcome to the show, Dexter Brains. My first question to you, why include a lot of Sierra Leonean stars in your movies?
Well, thank you for having me here on SLBC. My name is Dexter Brains. When I got to the US, I think that was the first people I would say I started working with, and then I realized that a couple of them they have huge passion for what I do as well, for what I have as well, and so we just get a click in. I work with people from every race, ethnicity, background, and however you can put it. With Europeans, I've worked with people from all around the globe. So it's not like I'm tied down to Sierra Leoneans only. But sometimes I say that Sierra Leone is my second country because I have been around the Sierra Leone citizens for a long time until sometimes I just feel like I'm from Sierra Leone, you know, because I know so many places in Sierra Leone that I've never been there. I know of Kono, I know of Cotton Tree, I know of Abacha Street, I know of the eastern side, I know of the down beach side, but I've never been there. It's just because I've been working with them for a long time. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
This movie is a very unique movie, nice movie. But what's the inspiration behind this dynamic range movie? What was the inspiration?
Well, the idea of this movie, Dynamic Range, talking about ideas, the idea of Dynamic Range is just, like I said, I got inspired by the situation that we're living in right now. And I'm a born African, you know, so I know how the African countries and African nations are. There's a lot of corruption, and a lot of people let themselves to be bought over for very cheap, you know, things around. So Dynamic Range is just one of those movies that teaches people that in the community or the world we're living in, that see people that can stand their ground and say that no, I will not let my integrity, my personality, my dignity be bought over for a couple of dollars. Right, so it's going to be a very, very big premiere, which I would say that anybody that misses this premiere, you have missed to be part of the history that we are going to be living here in Maryland, basically.
Where will the people, the populace in this country have the opportunity to watch this movie right in this country? When are you going to launch it here?
I think, like I said before, Sierra Leone is my second country, and I really, really plan to visit Sierra Leone anytime soon. I am talking with a couple of Sierra Leoneans to know how it works down there on the ground, so that we can as well plan and see how we can go down there. But I think this 2019, say probably before the end of 2019, we'll definitely have a premiere of Dynamic Range in Sierra Leone. Myself, I want to go to Sierra Leone. I want to see Cotton Tree. I want to see how it looks like. I want to go to Abacha Street. I want to see how it looks like. I want to go to Kono. I want to go to I just want to go see how the place looks like, you know. So the moment I'm going to step my feet in Sierra Leone, as my friends, they call it Mama Salon, I will definitely be going there with a script, and as soon as I get there, I'm going to do a casting call. I'm going to get everybody on board, and we are going to do a movie that has never been done before in Sierra Leone.
Because this is going to be your final message. But my name is Hugo James.
Dexter Brains, a Cameroonian producer and director as well, talking there to entertainment producer Mohamed King Milan Bangoa, and now to end user are the main points again. Saving Life Initiative Organization has begun a 5-day free surgery at the Connaught Hospital. Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has laid before Parliament the General Cooperation Agreement document Sierra Leone, Ghana and Russia. The Minister of Planning and Economic Development has said government is working on establishing a National Investment Board, and First Lady Fatima Dio has launched Women Increasing Sustainable Energy Access and Use. Well, that's it for this edition of News Hour. Thanks for sharing your time with us. My name